Hey guys, it's Josh. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the most powerful mindset in the world. So if you're someone who struggles with negative thoughts, overthinking, anxiety, maybe emotional frustration and emotional reactivity like impatience, you're snapping at those closest to you, or you're just feeling totally burnt out and overwhelmed. If you are someone who struggles with those issues, this is going to be an extremely helpful training. And I'm going to walk you through not just the mindset, but also a framework so that you can understand how to apply this mindset to your own life. I'm going to explain to you how your thoughts and your emotions and your beliefs affect your reality. I'm going to talk to you about how your thoughts actually directly impact your emotions and what you feel in your body. So if you're someone who does struggle with anxiety or something like that, where you have these physical symptoms as well, this is going to be really helpful because it's going to show you how your thoughts are actually impacting those physical symptoms that you're having in your body, right? This is actually a science which is called neurophysiology, right? And it's a lot to do with how the brain impacts the physiology, right? If you didn't already know this, your nervous system, which is a really hot topic at the moment, right? Your nervous system is actually made up of your brain and your spine, right? It's your brain and your spine, and then the nervous system comes out into the body through the brain and the spine. So your mind and your body are not like these disconnected things. They're actually deeply interconnected, and that's through the nervous system. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how all of this works. And if you're wondering, like, who am I to talk about this stuff, let me just briefly introduce myself. My name's Josh Holiday. I'm a meditation teacher and a mindset coach. I've been practicing meditation and learning about the mind for over 15 years. And I've helped over 250 clients directly overcome their anxiety, get their stress and overwhelm under control, and really heal, right? Like, I help people to awaken to a new level of their mind, to heal their, mental and emotional issues that are creating this feeling of like stuckness, right? This constant cycle or loop of anxiety and suffering. And I really help them to align with a whole new version of themselves. And it's not really a new version of themselves, it's more of like a real version of themselves. I help them to align with the version of themselves that they actually want to be. I help them get back to their self, right? And so that's what we're going to be walking through today. So again, like I said, we're going to cover firstly how your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs are all kind of working together. Then I'm going to walk you through a framework that you can actually take away from this video and start implementing in your own life. And it's called the Mind Launch Method, right? And it's my signature method that I've created. And it's really going to be a very powerful thing for you. So buckle up and watch this. Now, one caveat that I will say before we dive into everything is that if you can't bring yourself to focus for the next 20 minutes or so, like, you've got to learn to do that, right? And if it's not right now, then save the video for later and make sure you've got 20 minutes to focus. And I would actually suggest that you treat this like, whether it's this video or any other videos that you are watching on YouTube, treat it like you're studying. Like, get a journal and a pen. I have a fancy gold pen here and a nice journal. And if I watch stuff like this, I study it. The problem that a lot of people have with this kind of work is that they watch the YouTube video and it goes in one ear and out the other. They listen to the podcast, it goes in one ear and out the other. They even read the books, right? Like, and it goes in one ear and out the other. And so I encourage you to actually focus and be present, right? I'm a coach. This is what I do. I coach people, and I'm coaching you right now. I'm telling you, don't just say, oh, I just struggle with my focus. I don't have enough time. I always procrastinate. Those are all excuses. Just sit down, get a journal, get a pen, focus, and study this, because you're going to learn something if you do that. And if you actually apply it, you will change your life. I promise you, you'll transform your life, and you'll be able to adopt the most powerful mindset in the world. So let's get into it. Firstly, right, I'm going to walk you through this kind of hierarchy, right? And I'm actually going to do it with a little diagram. One of my clients actually made this diagram for me the other day. Well, he made it for himself, but I'm going to use it because I thought it was great. So this is the brain, right? This is the head. All right, let's go with the head, the brain, right? And you might also call it the mind, okay? Here, right? Your little smiley face here. You got the head, you got the brain, you got the mind. Now, then you've also got, you have to excuse my artistry because I'm not a very good artist, but we're going to roll with it. So you've got your head, your brain, your mind up here. Like I said, here's your brain, right? and then you got your nervous system, right? You got your spine down here, and that's kind of your nervous system. So this is your body, right? Body, and it's also your feelings, right? Emotions, and it's chemicals and hormones. Okay, so if you didn't already know, the reason why you have certain feelings in your body is because of the chemicals and the hormones. That's essentially what your emotions are. They're just chemicals and hormones, right? And so, for example, someone who's having anxiety has got a lot of stress, has got a lot of adrenaline, has got a lot of cortisol. These are the hormones that are kind of running through the system, right? So your brain is connected to your body through your nervous system, and you've got your head up here and you've got your body here, right? Your feelings and your emotions, chemicals, hormones. Okay, now up here in the brain, the head, the mind, you've also got thoughts. Okay, thoughts. So you've got thoughts up here in your mind and your head, and then they go down to create emotions and feelings. So this is the hierarchy. Starts with thoughts. Thoughts create emotions and feelings. There's this question of like the chicken or the egg. Which ones came first? The thoughts or the feelings? Thoughts or the emotions? The thoughts create the feelings, right? Let me give you an example. If you have a thought, let's say someone threw a snake into my room right now, right? I'm going to see that snake firstly, and then I'm going to think, fuck, snakes are dangerous. And then I'm going to start feeling anxious and feeling like panicked, and I'm probably going to try to run away to get away from the snake. I'm going to have a thought. The thought is the first thing. The thought or the belief, snakes are dangerous. If someone, put a little fluffy dog into the room, I would just be like, oh, why is there a dog in my room? Like, can you please get the dog out of my room, right? And I would be calm. I wouldn't be freaking out. But if someone threw a snake into the room, I'd be freaking out. And I'd be feeling these different emotions and feelings because I have the adrenaline and the cortisol in my body. So the thoughts, they actually, and what it's called scientifically, the thoughts create these neurotransmitters. And the neurotransmitters send signals from the brain to the body. Okay? So that's up here. Thoughts / beliefs, right? That's happening up here. You have the thoughts, the beliefs in the mind, sends the signal down to the body, okay? And then you start to feel your emotions and your feelings. Really, it's just these chemicals and these hormones that are being created through this neurotransmitter, the signal from the mind to the body, okay? So again, I'm just kind of breaking it down for you. And then the next thing that happens, right, after you have these emotions and feelings, the next thing that kind of happens is you've got actions and results. Okay? So, like I just said before with the example of the snake, if someone threw a snake in here, there's a thought, snakes are dangerous, there's a feeling of like anxious and stressed and panicked, and then there's an action. I step away. I move away. I'm like, get out of my room. Like, I need to move away from this snake. Now, if someone put a puppy dog into the room, I would be having a whole different experience, and I'd have different actions, different results. I'd probably go and say, excuse me guys, hold on a second. And I'd go and pick up the dog, and I'd just get it out of the room, and then I'd close the door and I'd lock the door so that they couldn't distract me again. Right? So this is how your thoughts affect your actions and your results. Your thoughts and beliefs affect your emotions and your feelings, which affect your actions and your results. Okay? Really, really interesting stuff. Now, let's go a level deeper. Your emotions and your thoughts are what create belief. When you think strongly about something, or you think feelingly about something, that is what creates a belief. It's a thought and an emotion. If you just think like something that's very unimportant, it's not going to be really a big deal, right? Let me give you another example. I'm going to use religion as an example. Christians, right? Christians, and I don't have anything wrong with Christians, just by the way, but let's just say Christians, right? Christians have this thought or this idea, this thought in their head that there's this Jesus, and Jesus is the Lord and Savior, right? But they also feel strongly about that. They really love that idea. They really feel strongly about that idea. They've got a thought matched with an emotion, creates a belief. Now I'm a Christian, and this is the way. There's also Muslims. Similar thing, right? They have a thought where it's like Allah is God. And then they have this Allah idea in their head. And then they are really strongly attached to that. They really feel strongly about that. And so now they're Islam, right? Their belief system goes Islam, whereas the Christian person goes Christianity. And it's just a different thought and a different feeling that creates the belief, all right? And then the beliefs, again, they're going to affect the feelings. Because a Christian, if someone says to you, if you're a Christian and someone says, no, God's not real and Jesus is not real, it's all bullshit, then you're gonna feel something, right? Whereas if someone comes up to you and says, this is so great, I had a great day at church today, that was so awesome, so beautiful, and so much love, and you're like, yeah, it was so great, right? Same thing for a Muslim, right? It's probably going to be the same idea, right? If someone challenges their beliefs, they're going to have an aversion to it. If someone is like with them in their beliefs, they're going to have an attraction to it. So it creates a feeling, and then again, different response, different actions, different results. So again, this is like really just the high level overview, but I'm going to go into how this actually, you can apply this to your own life. But one thing I want to also do is show you this other thing here, right? Which is your RAS. So the belief actually goes into the reticular activating system, right? So the reticular activating, there's a part of your brain which is called the reticular activating system, right? And that's a part of your brain that's like the filter between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, okay? So if you have a belief that says, I am enough, for example, and you really believe that you're good enough and you're worthy of abundance and you're worthy of love and all of that, then it's your RAS picks up that belief, that subconscious belief, and it essentially scans the environment and looks for confirmation of your belief. That's the job of the RAS. It looks for confirmation of your beliefs. So whatever you develop as a belief, this part of your brain picks it up, and you actually see, right? You're actually looking, this is your eye here, right? Eye here, right? It actually scans the environment to pick up the belief system. So we are filtering out most of reality, if you didn't already know that as well. You cannot see 99.999999999% of reality. You can only see a very, very tiny little fraction of reality because your brain could not handle seeing the full spectrum of reality. So what it does through this RAS, reticular activating system, is it filters out all of the unnecessary information, right? And it only focuses on what you believe is necessary. Okay? So if you have a deep subconscious belief that you're not good enough, then you're going to see proof and confirmation that you're not good enough. If you have a deep subconscious belief that you are good enough, you're going to see belief, you're going to see that, yes, proof and confirmation that's true. Okay? And then again, that's going to affect your feelings, it's going to affect your actions and your results. So this is really powerful. If you're not getting the results that you want in your life, you have to understand it all starts with your thoughts and beliefs, right? And it really kind of comes back to beliefs. Now, beliefs are kind of also stored in the memory. So you've developed, I don't know how old you are, like, you might be in your 20s, you might be in your 30s, you might be in your 40s, but you've got a memory from your childhood where you started to develop these beliefs, where you had different thoughts and emotions through childhood and through your life, where you started to subconsciously develop belief systems. And then now you're, coming into adulthood and you're realizing, maybe I need to change my belief systems, but you've got this whole memory bank, subconscious, of belief systems. Maybe some of those are really good. Some of those belief systems have really helped you create a great life. Some of them maybe not, right? So the good thing is you can actually change your beliefs, right? So let's actually get into that now, because I'm going to talk to you about how you actually do it. Hopefully by now you understand this. And this is something that I've learned over 15 years, right? Because I had some shitty belief systems, right? When I was a teenager, my parents got divorced, and when I was about 11 years old, and, my dad was drinking, mum was drinking, and when I was going through my teenage life, there was no emotional kind of safety there. It was a bit all over the place, right? And I suffered because of that, because I didn't know how to make sense of the world, right? So I ended up being rebellious. I dropped out of school. I got into a lot of trouble. I was drinking. I was doing drugs. I wasn't getting my emotional needs met, and I was creating these belief systems in my head that I wasn't good enough, right? And that I was, yeah, like insecure. That wasn't worthy of love. Uh, and no one was giving me attention. And so I just went rebellious. I said, fuck it. If people aren't giving me attention, I'm going to go get the attention myself. I'm going to drink. I'm going to do, drugs. And I learned all of these really negative coping mechanisms to deal with the issues that I was having, which actually has led me to this point now. So in hindsight, I'm glad that all of that happened because it's helped me learn. Yeah, since I was 17, I started to practice meditation. I started to learn about self-development. I started to learn about the mind. I started to learn about psychology and my own psychology. And then I realized all of this stuff, and now I can teach it to you. So in hindsight, it's been a blessing. But at the time, it was very hard. It was a real issue. But that struggle that I went through ended up becoming my strength. Right, that pain ended up becoming my purpose, and that is a powerful thing. Right, and so that's how I learned all of this stuff, because I've struggled with these things myself. I had anxiety. I was struggling with drinking, drugs, right, all of that. And I've since overcome my anxiety, right? I don't drink anymore. I don't take drugs. I have a great relationship with my wife. We have 2 kids, and I'm doing work that's purposeful for me, and I love it. I love my life. I've got a lot of good things now, but it wasn't always easy, and for a lot of the time, it wasn't like this. It's only been in the last 5 years or so that I've really kind of made leaps and bounds. And it's all because of this stuff that I'm teaching you right now, right? And what I'm calling the most powerful mindset in the world. And the reason why I'm calling it that is because you can literally transform your life with this kind of work, okay? So let's get into the actual method that I want to teach you, right? And this is the Mind Launch method. Okay, now I had to give you all that context because here's how it works, right? We start with the thoughts, as you guys know, right? We start with the thoughts, right? The thoughts create, let's just call them emotions, right? And a thought plus an emotion creates a belief, okay? Thought plus emotion equals belief, right? So equals. And then the belief gets fed into the RAS, okay? And then what the RAS does is it looks for confirmation, right? Looks for confirmation and proof. Now, this can be positive or negative. And really what happens over time is you have confidence. And actually, this is also confidence, right? Now, you can have positive confidence or you can have negative confidence. So, for example, sometimes when I'm working with people, they're telling me all their problems and they're saying, I'm not really confident. But what they are confident about is all of these problems that they have. They're very confident that they have all of these problems, right? So they have a negative confidence, right? They have a negative confidence because they've got negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative beliefs fed into their reticular activating system, and they're just seeing all of this negativity in their life through their mindset and through their perspective, which creates this negative confidence right down here. Now, what we want to do is we want to create this positive confidence, okay? And so the way that we do that is we essentially got to change these 2 things, right? We work on changing these 2 things. We start here, right? Start here. And then from there, you change belief, and then that gets fed into the RAS, and then you can go like that, right? So we got to start back here though, okay? And again, this is mind and body connection as well. It's not just thoughts and emotion, but it's mind and body. If you're having troubles in your body, right, you're having these physical symptoms, you can change them up here at the thought level, right? Because if you have troubles in your body and you have all these physical symptoms, right, you probably have a belief about why that's bad, right? you're thinking this is really bad, and that's why you get sucked into this loop, or this negative loop that goes down, down, down into negative confidence, right? Because you have this thought, which is, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever, and you feel so anxious and depressed and overwhelmed, right? And then you get a belief, there's like, something's wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or oh my God, am I going to be like this forever? What if I never get better, right? And then you get, boom, negative confidence. But when you start with the brain and you start changing your thoughts, and then you start feeling differently as well. Some of my clients ask me, they say, Josh, can you actually change your emotions? And I say, yeah, you actually can. It's quite simple. Change your thoughts, change your emotions, change your beliefs. Then your RAS is going to get reprogrammed. Your subconscious mind is going to get reprogrammed, and you're going to start to develop this positive confidence. Now, the one thing that you need really to do this, right, is you need a game plan. A game plan plus action. So I often say that I'm like a no bullshit coach, right? Like a no bullshit meditation teacher, trying not to be all airy fairy in the spiritual world. Although I do think spirituality has a beautiful place in all of this, because that's a video for another story. That's a story for another video. But ultimately, I do think it's like no bullshit. You have to take action. You have to do the work, right? So you need a game plan and you need action. And the game plan is really this mind launch method, right? This is what I teach all my clients. This is the most powerful mindset in the world. You change your thoughts, you change your emotions, right? So we give you a game plan to do that, to change your thoughts and to change your emotions. I give you literally the blueprint that you need. And it's also personalized to you. So this is great. You can take this and run with it. It's YouTube. But if you were to come and work with me, I would jump on a call with you. And the first thing that we would do is create a personalized, customized game plan just for you. Because the reality is everyone's different, right? And I know that, right? Not everyone is exactly the same. Everyone has their different problems. And, a lot of these issues can be solved with the same solution. However, there are like unique little nuances to each person's experience. But I do believe this mind launch method can change everyone's life, regardless of what they're going through. So, because people often ask me, I got OCD, right? Or I've got anxiety, or I've got depression, or I've got insomnia, or I've got these phobias, or I've got these physical symptoms in my body, and all these kinds of different things. This can solve all of them. But I am acutely aware that each different situation is going to need a slightly personalized approach. And that's what we do with the game plan. And we give you then the actions to start taking. And you've got to do this on a day-to-day basis, because the subconscious mind loves repetition, okay? So then the second thing that you need, because the subconscious mind does love repetition, and one thing that a lot of people struggle with is discipline, consistency. So you need accountability, right? This is one thing that artificial intelligence will never be able to give us, right? Because, I don't know about you, but I use AI a lot. I use I use ChatGPT all the time, and sometimes I go through and I'll solve all of the world's problems, and I'll have all of this text that just tells me all of the things that I need to know, and then I'll just kind of skim through it, and then I'll just kind of forget about it, and it just gets lost in my folder of all these other chats that I have, right? Sometimes we need accountability, right? We need personal accountability, and we need that kind of real life connection, right? That is something about it that's special. When we have a game plan, we have action, we have accountability, right? We have a sense of community or a sense of connection. It's so, so important, right? So yeah, game plan plus action, accountability, and also one thing that I've noticed is very helpful for people is community, right? That sense of being on a journey with people who are with you, and again, feeling that connection, feeling that support. Now, not everyone needs the community aspects. A lot of people like it, but sometimes I work with high performing entrepreneurs or business professionals who are just very A-type, and they don't really care about the community. They're just give me the game plan, give me some accountability, some personalized accountability. I don't really care about the community, and that's fine. But for some people, they love the community, and the community really creates that connection, and it's really helpful when you're working on this stuff, because again, you've got to stick with it. I have 4 main values within our Mind Launch community, and they are discipline, responsibility, commitment, and trust, right? So you've got to trust that this works, which it does because I've helped hundreds of people with this before, and I've a living example of it in my own life. But you have to trust me that it works, right? Then you've got to choose to be committed to the process. This is so important. Some people, they're like, oh, I don't want to dip my toe in, see if it works, then I'll go out. And this is why I really kind of encourage, at least 3 to 6 months for this kind of work. Like if you're struggling and you really want to heal, I encourage like 3 to 6 months, because then you have sustainable change, right? You have like a sustainable period of time, because the reality is sometimes you're going to go up, sometimes you're going to go down. And if you just dip your toe in, you try something for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even 6 weeks, or sometimes even, anywhere up to like 12 weeks. I know a lot of people have done coaching programs or have done like therapy sessions for like 12 weeks. And then they say, at the end of the 12 weeks, there was nothing, like it just kind of dropped off. And I just went back to my old ways. Your subconscious mind is so powerful, and it will take you back to your old ways if you don't stay consistent. So that's why, commitment, discipline, and self-responsibility. Like, I don't want to be someone who's like here to fix you or to be your savior. That's not my role. My role is to give you a plan and to kind of be a guide, but I can't walk the path for you, and I don't want to. If you really want to change your life, I can help, but you have to be self-responsible. You have to be willing to do the work yourself, right? And so, if you are, and, if this video has resonated with you and you think that, this is actually a mindset and a pathway and a plan that I could follow, and if you want some help, then I do have, a community. So I offer 2 things, right? I offer a community, which gives you access to all of this. And I also offer one-on-one coaching, right? So if you're interested in either joining my community or getting some one-on-one coaching, then you can just message me details on Instagram, right? And my Instagram handle is It's Josh Holiday. Now, I will put the link to my Instagram in the description of this video. I'll also put a link to the community, so you can just go and have a look. I'll also put a link to book a 15-minute call with me if you like. But if you want me to actually just send you a PDF document with more details, you can just message me on Instagram details, right? I also have a website, so I'll put that in the description, so you can go there, you can read through testimonials, you can read through, what's involved, you can learn more. There's lots of, I'll put some links in the description, you can just check it all out. But the easiest way, and if you want to have a direct conversation with me, because I manage my Instagram myself, right, you can just message me details and I'll just say, hey, what's up? Here are the details. So that's probably the easiest, most like personal way that we can kind of, get to know each other. So this is it. This is the most powerful mindset in the world. This is like a very deep dive into how your mind, body actually is connected and works. Right. And this is not just me kind of just making this up. This is actually scientifically proven. Again, neurophysiology, it's an amazing thing. And epigenetics, right? There's a lot of these sciences coming out that prove that your thoughts and your emotions are directly connected, that your thoughts affect your body and your nervous system. And all of it's like directly connected. It's not mental health is one thing that's separate to like your physical health. They're connected, right? Your physiology includes your whole self. And so this is a framework that speaks to all of that. And that's why it works so well. So again, hope you found it helpful. If you want some more help, message me the word details. And thanks for watching.